So on behalf of the Independence Chamber of Commerce in the City of Independence, welcome to First Friday for the month of April. It's official. We are in the second quarter of the year, which is incredibly hard to believe. But nevertheless, it is April, and we find ourselves here at the Civic Center, as we always do on the first of the month. So it's nice to see so many people in the room. Before we get started listening to our one speaker today, who has a lot of great information to share with us, we're going to hear from our business sponsor. As I always let you know, they're the ones that pay for our lunch. They make arrangements with Annie Mae's to provide us with great hot coffee and some fruit and muffins. So at this time, would you please welcome Atmos Energy's Operations Supervisor, Eric Gant.
Good morning. Before I get started, I just want to thank Lisa and her team for not only First Friday this morning, but just all the community events they put on. They're just always so well organized and ran and go smoothly. So when I found out that April was available as a month to be a sponsor, it was just the perfect opportunity for Atmos Energy in our industry because nationwide, April is Safe Digging Month. So Atmos Energy, the first part of our vision is to be the safest provider of natural gas services. And we really break our safety program into three sections. We have our employee safety, our system safety, and then the public safety. So when I found out April was available for us to sponsor, it's just a great opportunity to get up in front of the community and remind everyone about that and Kansas One Call and the 811 system. And, you know, I like to keep things extremely simple. And when it comes to our system safety, really our number one goal is to keep our product, natural gas, inside the pipelines. It's really that simple. So what 811 and Kansas One Call is, it's a free system to Kansas residents, but all you have to do is dial 811 if you're going to be doing any type of excavation, whether it's landscaping, planting a tree, anything like that. You just let them know where you're going to be digging. As long as you do it 2 days prior to when you're going to be doing the excavation, all the utility companies, not just Atmos Energy, would be more than happy to come out and mark our lines so we can keep our public safe, because that's our number one goal. So with that, I'd just like to thank everyone for letting Atmos Energy have the opportunity to sponsor First Friday this month, and conclude with we're really excited about, there's also a lot going on in April this month, that to be a partner of Love Independence Day. I believe we've been involved since the ground level got started. So this will be our fourth year once we find out with April and Lisa which house we were selected to be out there painting that Saturday. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, First Friday, like we said, is co-sponsored by the City of Independence and the Chamber of Commerce. It's a free event so that everybody in the community can come and be well informed. And as always, I'm about to inform you well. So get your program out. Just slip it out from, or your calendar, slip it out from underneath your program there. And we're going to go over some information in the community. And if there's a correction that needs to be made, if there's more information that needs to be added to it so that we have to take it down where it's microscopic, we will do that and add even more information to that community calendar. Let me talk about some other ways that we get information out to you through our website, through our Facebook page. Always check out the city's Facebook page. Over here on the side of the room, we have our flyer table, so grab some flyers and take back to your break rooms if you want. We publish it in the Reporter underneath What's Up, and that's a weekly listing of everything that happens in the community. We have these community calendars. It's also published in the Reporter as well. We do downtown tents. They're in the hotel rooms, letting people know what's happening when they come into our community from outside of Independence. We do live radio spots on KIND every Friday afternoon at 4:50. We also tape a community calendar that runs on all their stations like 4 times a day. And then we also do interviews with KGGF 690, I believe, in on the AM station in Coffeyville every Tuesday as well. So there's lots of ways for you to get information. And so let me talk about a few things, kind of the highlights on the community calendar. So we have some people that are going to be doing some 30-second splashes at the end. They'll be sharing lots of good information with you. One of them will be Erin Bunn talking about tomorrow morning's Cherish the Children live auction and pancake breakfast. And the chairs are over here, and she's going to talk more about that in a little while. Eclectics Art Gallery and the library always have a plethora of activities, so take your finger down the calendar and find the keywords of Independence Public Library and the Eclectics Art Gallery and mark your calendar for those fun activities. Let's see, we have the park opening. Barb is in a meeting this morning along with our city manager and all the other department heads talking about the strategic plan that our community is working on. And Mackie Smith is in from Utah, and today was the only day that he could meet with them. So that's why they're not here today. Or Barb would be here, and she would be telling us all about park opening that's coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend. Putt-Putt tournament starts at 9:30, and the park opens at 11 to 3 with all kinds of fun activities as usual. So put that on your calendar. And then she would also be telling you about the Easter egg hunt on the Saturday before Easter. So that will be April the 20th. And in the afternoon, and you can bring the kids out with their baskets. The Easter Bunny will be there, and it's always fun. It's sponsored by Rotary. Speaking of Easter, we also have some providers. We have Medical Lodges, Country Place Senior Living, and Montgomery Place that are also having Easter egg hunts. So if you have kids that are wanting to hunt and hunt and hunt, mark your calendar for the 13th and the 14th. They can get their hunt on early before Easter. The Verdigris Valley Art Exhibit, it's the youth exhibit, and that's coming up on the 16th through the 27th at the Independence Historical Museum and Art Center. And that's important because these are kids that are middle school kids and high school kids from Montgomery County and the surrounding counties that are putting all of their art on display. So we encourage you to go to the museum and see all of the amazing art and be accustomed to and making it a habit to frequent the museum because they always have lots of great exhibits going on there. On the 17th, mark your calendar, that's a special City Commission work session. I believe, if I'm correct, and Gary, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they will be having a work session to discuss possibly going from 3 commissioners to 5 commissioners. So if you have thoughts and ideas around that, or you want to hear all the pros and the cons potentially about that, be sure and attend that work session on the 17th. So mark your calendar for that. On the 19th, we have a special guest in our community. Senator Jerry Moran will be at the Independence Country Club at 12:15. That will not be a luncheon. It's open to the public. It will just be a town hall meeting setting. There will be probably tea and water provided. Rotary will meet beforehand, and then we will come, Rotary's hosting it, then we'll come over and open it up to the entire public. So every single person in this room and beyond is welcome to come to the Country Club at 12:15 on the 19th and listen to Senator Jerry Moran as he presents that afternoon. We're going to have a shout out by Blue Cross Blue Shield about National Walk at Lunch Day. We're going to have a shout out about Arbor Day that's coming up. I want to touch on the Love Independence. So as Eric talked about, Love Independence is coming up on the 27th. It is our 4th year of doing that. So be thinking about what you can do as an organization, as a family, as just a group of women, just a bunch of friends, your church, your youth group, your place of work. Just get together, think about something that you can do on that day to champion kindness. And if you would, even if you want to keep it a secret from the public, if you would call us at the chamber and let us know, we're trying to collect all that information so that the reporter can capture that and go out and do some news coverage and some press of that, as well as we're working to get some TV stations in Independence on that day as well. So the more things that I can tell them are going to happen, the more likely the TV stations are going to come. So we have amazing houses and projects that are going to be done by Community Missions, and I've been told that we're going from 4 to 6. So lots of opportunities to volunteer that day. So see Jerry Bright and April Nutt, and they can get you plugged in for that. And just be be aware that there's lots of great things going on, but there's always room for more kindness in our community. So be thinking about what you want to do. All right, I'm going to tell you, let's see here. I think I've got a few other things. All right, so I think the last thing I'll tell you, because we'll talk about May when it gets here, but I do want you to mark your calendar for May 25th and 26th, okay? So here's what's really cool and what's going to happen in Independence on Memorial Day weekend. Not only is it the William Inge Theater Festival, which is always amazing, and that will be, let's see here, the 38th Annual William Inge Theater Festival, but on the heels of that will be the Kansas Airstrip Attack, and it is high-end performance cars, exotic cars that are going to be doing half-mile races out on the airstrip. And so these are some of the fastest cars in the world, Lamborghinis, all kinds of cars worth thousands and thousands of dollars. They're going to be trailered in here. People are flying in, and there will be an amazing airstrip attack. So you will want to follow Airstrip Attack's Facebook page. You can also look up Shift Sector, and you can like their Facebook page. We'll have it on our Facebook page, the city's Facebook page. And according to Shift Sector, this will have a huge economic impact on our community over Memorial Day weekend. They'll be selling tickets. You'll be able to go out and watch these races. And so we're just excited. The airport staff is embracing this. The city is embracing it. And it's going to be an amazing thing that hopefully maybe we'll be able to host on an annual basis. So just watch for more information about Airstrip Attack. All right. So with that, we're going to get started. Our first and only speaker today is Nancy Daniels. She comes to us from K-State Research and Extension. She's going to be talking to us this morning about first impressions, and I'm sure she's going to explain a little bit more in depth about first impressions. But what I want you to know is that we were approached by First Impressions to participate in this program, which is very similar to our Roger Brooks experience that we had 5-6 years ago. And the main difference, one of the main differences is we paid a lot of money to have Roger Brooks come to our community and tell us a lot of very, very important information that we took to heart, and we went to work. And over the course of those 5 and 6 years, we've made some serious and drastic changes in our community. But we know that there are, still things that we can do. First Impressions is actually a free program that we were able to participate in, so we were really pumped to have that opportunity. We partnered with a similar community in size and demographics, which was Fort Scott, and I want to let you know that myself and Garrett and April and Joanne and Gary were all on that team. We piled into a car, we traveled to Fort Scott, and we assessed their community as first-time visitors, checking out checking out their community through the eyes of a first-time visitor and giving a first impression. So Nancy will be in their community providing the report that we gave to her of all the information. And so Nancy is here this morning to provide Fort Scott's perspective of independence through the First Impressions program. So would you please welcome Nancy?
Thank you. So K-State Research and Extension, we see our role as being people to provide the research and education and teaching and facilitation to provide the local communities with the tools that you need to improve your lives and your livelihoods in your community. And so before I start, I'd like to acknowledge some important partners. In Kansas, we still have local partners. Barbara Ames is our K-State Research and Extension agent here in this area, and I hope you know Barbara. Barbara, would you stand up? And then thank you. And in Kansas, we play together really nicely. And the Department of Commerce, Barbara Anderson is here from the regional program manager from the Department of Commerce, and really important partners with K-State Research and Extension and helping local communities to get the assets they need. And Barbara, we just appreciate her so much. Okay, so as As Lisa already alluded to, the process started with Fort Scott, and we were so happy that you could respond in kind with that. And so today we'll present your report to you, but the hope is that you will follow up with this report and use it in ways to continue to improve. This is just feedback, and feedback is just that. It's their observations on a particular day. If you don't agree with the observations, then be curious. Why would they think that? What did they see that made them wonder? You know, as Lisa said, they come in one car. Maybe they were visiting and they just missed it, you know? So just take it for what it is, and that's a first impression. We have some, I'm trying this for the first time. Ben Winchester is a researcher, and I want to give you a new perspective to start out even before we look at this, because my remarks are always based on these observations, and if I don't tell you that, then you can't change your perceptions about rural. Ben Winchester has been doing work in rural communities for decades. And Ben says, you know, everybody knows about brain drain and talks about brain drain. Nobody's talking about what is really happening data-wise about the fact that people come to rural, they choose rural, and they do it in their 30s and 40s, and nobody's talking about it. And I have never once presented to a First Impressions group, how many of you would fit that definition, that you came to this community, chose this community after leaving and coming back? Somebody, yeah, and it's always a larger number than you would guess. Sometimes you follow, it was very surprising to me to see this. Only 36% of the people have lived there previously, because our idea is that we go back home. And when I consider that many of the stories that I hear is, well, this wasn't my community, but it was my husband's community, then that starts to make sense to me that now maybe 72% of you came because one of you had a connection. But there are people, and I've met them, who choose your community just because. They will research a number of towns before they choose which one that they choose to. And consider this. Don't say anymore that I live in the middle of nowhere. Where you live is in the middle of everywhere. And just like me, and I live in Topeka, Kansas, you live in one place, you work another, and you play another. I live in Topeka. I drive an hour to my job in Manhattan. There are plenty of jobs where I was. I chose one that was a different place. And you are the exact same place, people. If you have good internet, if you have a car, you can do anything, anywhere you want to. 46% of Kansans move every year. And that's true. His data shows it all over the Midwest. And so in a survey of newcomers, the reasons they come are a simpler pace of life, safety and security, low housing costs, and a job isn't in the top 10 reasons that people move there. So that changes how you perceive and how you recruit people. It's about people-centered recruitment, not job-centered. In small towns, everyone knows everyone. I dare to say you don't know everybody in this room, let alone everyone knows everywhere. And so Ben says that he and another researcher often say that the best $150 you could spend is to have a quarterly meeting of newcomers, and only newcomers, so that they can see how many of them are new to the community and understand they're not the only ones, that there's really a lot of them. And it also changes your mind about what's true. Remember that if small numbers make a big difference. If you have a new family that moves to town in in a 700 citizen community, that makes a big difference in a few years. We are our own worst enemies. You know, our customer service is everything about how people perceive each other, perceive our town. And the way that we feel about our town is communicated to others. So change your own mind, and then that changes others. And don't say you have to live here 20 years to be part of us, and then don't act like it either. So, with that in mind, here's another interesting concept. You know, part of the problem of rural growth is the fact that we don't have houses available, right? But a lot of us consider that we're going to stay in our house until we die. But then, you know, if we could just change our mind and think about that house being an asset for the community, if housing will be freed up if we as baby boomers move on to be closer. My husband and I downsized before we were 60. We were tired of taking care of the lawn. And so I can so relate to this idea that, you know, I'm happy to live in a community that is maintenance provided. And now that great big 3,000 square foot home is available for a family. And they're happy to have it, and I'm free. So that's just a new way to perceive things. Oh, I've got to get used to. Okay, so now to your first impressions. The data on your community says you had 9,400, almost 9,500 people in 2010. I'm comparing it down here to the 2000 census at 9,846. You were down about almost 4% in that 10 years compared to the Kansas average. You're down again according to the estimates. We're approaching census time. And you can imagine, the census people tell us that every person that we miss in the census will cost you $1,539 in federal funds. So it's going to be really important, again, to make sure that the 2020 census is very accurate. Your high school GED or graduation level is about the Kansas average, very high. And about 20% of those people over 25 have a college education. The poverty rate is higher than the Kansas average. The median age is about like Kansas at 36.9, and the median income is a little bit lower. So we ask our visitors to look at the website before they come in, and all of them noted that your website has very good positioning. It comes up on all the searches everybody did. But they found it to be somewhat generic and didn't engage people. Ben Winchester says we need to be able to visualize ourselves in your community. And so when you have pictures that help them see themselves, start to picture how much fun it would be to live in your town, that's what your goal is. The Chamber website had a better feel as it had more pictures and information, but it wasn't as well positioned. This is how your website looked last week with good graphics. And it really has nice links to other resources, events, and attractions, just as on your city website. There's even more information on the Chamber website. And one of the visitors noted that the Chamber video is just excellent. And because they said that, I went to look for it. The Chamber video is down at the bottom. It's about 4 minutes and 52 seconds long, which is not too long, but man, it was just chock full of stuff. That visitor said, in fact, I found things that I couldn't find when I was driving around through the Chamber visitor. So I think the Chamber video would be a good place for you to start in terms of reiterating those messages so that people don't have to find that video. Reiterate those messages over and over. There's a city website or a city Facebook page where there's official announcements and city council meetings. There's the Indy Main Street, which promotes shopping and events. There is also the Newalla Independence, Kansas website or Facebook page. The Facebook for the Chamber, I didn't even find it until I went to the link from the city page. Even in going back and looking, it did not show up anywhere in my search. The community, so we asked them to go around and visit the community, just kind of drive through and give a 5-minute impression of what they saw as they drove around. The observation was that it feels spread out rather than compact. That's neither good nor bad. It's just an observation. The entrance signs from each directions are consistent, but some need a fresh coat of paint. Solar or LED lighting would enhance signs at night. There are several pockets of business in several places. I like to use lots of pictures because sometimes that gives you a different perspective. Is it possible to turn the lights down by the front? There you go. Thanks, Garrett. And this, Lisa's got this presentation and can put it up so that you can see it and study it later. When I think this, the WPA wall is beautiful and the cemetery is well maintained. They commented on that in the public infrastructure. And by the way, at your places, you have verbatim what the 4 observers said. And it was my task then to take something from those observations and add pictures to it to illustrate it. I'm not with them, so you can be clear that when I put a picture in there, it may or may not be what they were referring to. I'm pretty confident about this one, but there are times where it may not be what they were looking at. They thought the mural was nice. They were impressed with the variety of downtown shopping, several nice boutiques, a floral shop, furniture store. Took these pictures about 5 o'clock in the evening, so after business hours. Some buildings that need to be occupied, but most are in operation, look very nice. Love the statues and benches. It's very welcoming and friendly downtown. Lots of local restaurants most communities don't have. That is a common thing in a small community. I wish we had a restaurant, but you have lots of them. Feels very local. More than one downtown street. Very friendly. People want to help. That customer service thing really matters. Oops. I kept pressing the press, so it might go on, and I don't mean it to. There we go. Sun's going down over the buildings as I'm taking these pictures. This is so dense with photos, it just really moves slowly. On that particular day, there were leaves in that vacant alcove, but I noticed yesterday when I was driving through that it was all swept up, so it's not always that way. But it looks much nicer when it's swept up. We asked about amenities, and they saw some Wi-Fi. They thought there could be more trash cans. We asked about downtown restrooms, and early on I would say, you don't have any public restrooms. You know what? There's like 4 towns in Kansas that have downtown public restrooms. So they were really quite aware that there are restrooms available in the shops. There's no problems with parking and nice sidewalks to visit many stores from one spot. Nice variety. So this is about the other retail shopping areas. Usually those are out by the highways. And they saw a nice variety of shopping and retail and hotels. Outside the downtown area, the retail seems to drop off and is not as attractive as downtown. That's probably a typical response, but just be aware of what the parking lots look like. It's very easy to access, and again, they found good customer service. In the industrial parks, the industrial sign, again, I don't know which sign they were looking at, but the industrial area sign could use an updating. Curious about, and I'm really curious about this, maybe you know which building they're talking about. Curious about a vacated, tall, high-rise building close to town. If the building is available, signage would make it clear that it's available, for what it's worth. And then, you know that a drive-by is not how industry is going to find you typically, and I'm certain that you've got that taken care of. But if you don't know this, be aware that really entrepreneurs who choose to start their small businesses are responsible for 63%, far more than half every year of the new jobs. Healthcare. You read Ben Winchester's comments that, if your seniors are going to stay around, they're going to want healthcare. And your healthcare facilities are very nice, even with the adjustments that are being made. Your center is very impressive and has an excellent reputation. Appears to be a tremendous network of physicians, so access to health care. I mean, again, on your website, if you're going to, as much as you can, you should make that very apparent to people who might be looking through. Lots of access to health care. Tried to use the city website to review health care, and the resource directory doesn't work. Those things are hard to keep going, so I always appreciate it when somebody tells me that something's not working. And I asked the visitors specifically, when you find anything in a website that doesn't work or is not updated, please be specific, because it's really hard to keep everything going. Lots of long-term care facilities, and they all look inviting and welcoming. And housing, I spend a lot of slides on housing because that's a big deal for for any community. Loved hearing about your Love Independence Day because that's an issue of keeping pride going. They noticed the Penn Terrace apartments and the public housing is nice with a nice pavilion across the street. We saw nice new housing in the north near the schools. There are trailers spread out in areas throughout the town. We were there. I mean, it would be nice if we could only do first impressions in the spring, but we have so many people that want to have it done. We have to do it all year round. And so this isn't the prettiest time of the year, but you're seeing each other when you're both in the same shape. So we know it would be prettier in May. Homes that would appeal to many incomes. And the fact that they had Christmas lights up was appropriate for the time that we were here. There's a variety of modern and historic homes. I really work at finding homes with for sale signs, so they're kind of overrepresented in the pictures. We noticed that there were lots of clean, tidy, and appealing homes, and they're much more common than those homes that don't look so great. There's a variety of homes on the market, and with some TLC, they saw them as being possibilities for good rental opportunities. Amazed at how many nice apartments there were in town. That's quite a thing. If somebody comes in and wants to try something out, why they need a place to go. Chamber had a rental and realtor listing. It was not easy, and another observation, not easy to find rental properties. A web-based enhancement would be helpful. And we noticed, I'm curious, I haven't checked on this. Is it done yet, the Washington apartments. Well, that looks like a really neat addition. So you had about 4,700 housing units. They are 80% of them are occupied and 20% of them are vacant, which is a concern. That's a little higher than Kansas's average. You have a lot of people apparently have noticed that renter opportunity is there. You have a little higher percentage of folks that are renting than ownership than the state average. Your family households, those are the people that will have kids less than 18, whether or not they're being raised by a stranger or by grandparents, why it's still, if they have children in the household, that's where they get measured. And that has an impact on your schools, whether or not your schools are full. And boy, are your schools something else. The overall impression of every school is positive. They're well maintained and did an impressive job of groundskeeping. And my observation after one of our visitors noted the video and I watched it, this is my observation. We shouldn't have to watch the video to know that this community has invested $45 million in its schools. That speaks volumes to this community, and that's the things that people want to know about your schools. The beautiful interior photos from the architect would be good marketing, but frankly, better marketing would be kids having fun in those schools. I think it was the architect's page, or maybe it was that video again, the fact that you were the Kansas Preservation Honor Award for Excellence in Rehabilitation. This is my photo, but boy, the architect's photo is just gorgeous. And private schools. None of our visitors noticed that, but you do have a private parochial school option too. I confess that I missed taking a picture of the college, Independence Community College, but our visitors noted that there was effective siting. They saw new student housing, and some buildings appeared outdated to them. Another visitor noted it took some driving to find the college, but that campus looked nice too. So I had to retrieve that off of the website, off of Google Earth. How am I doing? Riley Early Learning is near the other schools, and 3- and 4-year-old education are part of the public schools. The school website, we asked the visitors to check out the school website, and they saw that it was helpful, but they didn't find anything about the quality of education on the website. Even beyond the quality, I would say again that whole aspect of showing students having fun at school, or showing them achieving, showing them getting awards, showing them in their active life. Nobody ever, childcare is invisible to the world, and there's some reason for that. We don't necessarily want it to be visible to the rest of the world. But they also could not find any reference to it on the chamber or city website. Childcare keeps people at work and helps people to go to work, and so it's an important question. Another thing that's really invisible to the community, I have seen it over and over, and I finally had to call Child Care Aware and say, where is the data we're looking for, because search engines don't find it. It's available by county, not necessarily for Pittsburgh itself, that you have 2,900 children under age 6 that would need child care. Some of those are in 3- to 4-year-old early learning settings in your Riley Early Learning, and that should be included in these other numbers. According to their research, 69% of families have both parents working in the workforce, and so if you multiply this times this, you'll get 702. Oh, excuse me. If you multiply this times this, you'll get a number that's about quite a bit larger than the 700 that are the capacity for the community is. And in other words, 65% of the people cannot find childcare for their early learning opportunities. And so Child Care Aware helped us to know that they have a format for improving your child care, and they would love to be involved if you decide to do that. Your faith and religious communities looked awesome, and they agreed that that was just another evidence of the pride that Independence has in its community, with the churches very well cared for. Lots of churches. Sidewalks look good to the churches. Civic organizations. We were unable to find much information, the visitor said, about the civic clubs. The meetings were not noted on the event calendar as for the city or the chamber. Signage for, someone else said the signage for the Lions Club, the Kiwanis, and the VFW, they saw that. But it is always true that they will not see, this is a typical remark, you're not alone. Unless the activity is happening right then or there's a sign up right then, they won't notice the civic activity. I did note that the Kiwanis and activity is evident on the park structure. And then in public infrastructure, this is for all those areas outside of downtown. And one visitor's report noted a blighted area at 2nd and Cherry. It's a bad time for potholes, and they found a good one in that area too. Nice streets and sidewalks for the most part. They noticed that deteriorates as you go farther away from downtown. Again, I missed this photo, so I had to take it from Google Earth. It's from 3 years ago. I tried to capture sidewalks specifically. This is the school, because we want our kids to be able to walk home. Boy, I'll tell you, when I think about the Topeka versus Independence, small town living, free range kids is what I think the ideal is. You know, you really would love it if your kid could walk home by themselves from school. It gives them a sense of independence. And your kids can walk home. We need to give them safe passages to walk home. So that's an area to take particular care of to make sure that those are adequate. I confess I had a little concern watching the kids go across the street right out here and wish that they had a light crossing, because in their little dark hoodies before 7 a.m., I was worried for them. At City Hall, no one stopped at City Hall. It's one of the things I really asked them to do, and then when I reviewed my pictures, I realized maybe that's why they didn't do it. They couldn't figure out where it was. Because we could find this beautiful building. We were aware that you were someplace else, but they couldn't figure it out. And so one of our visitors said, oh, I couldn't find it. There is a nice sign there if you find it. We're not very good, and first impressions, we're not very good at seeing anything about your police and fire. You're going to have to evaluate that more carefully. But from what we could see, it seems adequate. From our concern, I mean, from your perspective, probably the most important thing is that you keep your ISO public protection classification as high as you can, because that's a standard of quality and affects how expensive your fire insurance costs each homeowner and each business. the library is old but remarkably preserved. And old sounds kind of bad in this way, but I would say historical. It's beautiful. A new edition tells me that they care about its important educational value. And one visitor noted, and probably it's on the mobile phone, I would guess, that their website isn't loading everything correctly, but there's good signage to find the library. Very nice Riverside Park. What a gem that is. And that was one of the first signs I saw as I came into the community. I knew where to find the park. Really nice aquatic center. That picture that I have of the vacant, I noticed in the video again, the picture of that outdoor setting for concerts is a lot more appealing when it's filled with people. Truly impressive. Nice tennis courts. Someone observed that the rusty trash dumpster needs to go or it needs to be rehabbed. Frankly, sometimes we are so nice in our comments that I almost make a point of giving you, okay, let's find something that you can improve on. The golf course has an excellent reputation in southeast Kansas, and the Fort Scott people were aware of that. Others noted ball fields around the town. We ask about whether you're well known for any events or attractions. And we also ask whether you have a slogan. They didn't notice any slogans. They were very well aware of Niwala, well known for that annual event. I always think, Lisa noted how many ways you are working to make your events available and people aware of it. I always think about K-State as I'm traveling I-70. Half the year they tell us that K-State's open house is tomorrow, by the way, and half the year then on April 7th or 8th that will get switched to a little sign that says the family day at K-State is such and such. And you know, there's some pretty low-tech ways to emulate that billboard, but it would make passerbys, you're kind of perfectly positioned to do that with William Ng and Niwala. Wrong direction. Are you well known for any attraction or event? It's a great place for a day or weekend trip. And somebody was aware of a little house on the prairie, and I've confessed that I'd forgotten about it. So I didn't take a picture that day. And then one of our visitors was aware that downtown offers regular events that locals hear about. This visitor was more local. And sure enough, I'd captured a sign from the weekend I was there. You had signs in the window, so people were aware of those local events. And just my remark would be that photos of you having fun together at those local events would be very, very appealing. And none of the visitors spoke of the William Ng, am I saying that right, correct, Ng event? So I had to get this from the internet. Although when I was driving to a wedding in Tulsa, I went out of my way. And my grandkids have been to this place because they have been all over the country looking to see for where Laura Ingalls was. And I guarantee you they didn't stop anywhere but this place. So it really is a thing for kids, families with kids. And the more you can make it aware, that's great. The chamber video talked of the lakes, but people weren't very aware of the lakes. The visitors weren't very aware of the lakes as they came by. But the museum did look inviting. The chamber has a wonderful location. You can see it well. And when they went in, they were well received and got great information. What would bring you back? They were impressed with the new brew tub that they heard about that was coming. They were aware of the cinema and the disc golf at the Ralph Mitchell Zoo that would bring them back. The boutique was a standout. Someone noted it by name, Apricot Lane. They ate at Annie Mae's, and they'll go back again, and they found an old-fashioned soda fountain. I was pleased by that sign on the outside of the drugstore, too, because I've been in small towns and had no idea there was an old-fashioned soda fountain there. So people don't go inside to check it out unless you draw them inside. The most positive observations were the appearance and the condition of the schools. That's huge. Don't underrate that. Very impressive health care. Amazing park and zoo and aquatic center, and they see a lot of pride in your community. It's quaint and lots of options, which is a good sign in a small community. If Ben Winchester was saying what are the high points about what to do in a rural community, that pretty much hit them all. What are your biggest obstacles and challenges? This is true whether it's Independence, Kansas, or Topeka, Kansas, or Kansas City, Kansas, keeping downtown businesses full. Retail is kind of in flux, and we are seeing where it's going. Maintaining downtown facades, and it's difficult to find a great downtown local restaurant, one visitor felt. Lots to offer, but the challenge is to adequately tell the story. And when I hear Lisa saying all the ways that you're telling the story, then we realize that communication thing is just never ending. And that's a legitimate observation. Someone said they didn't look very hard. So, you know, if you discount the observation, that's your prerogative. What will you remember? It's a nice-sized rural Kansas community with many amenities. Friendly staff and local shops. They liked seeing the local artisans on display in the shops. And one person was really impressed with Hugo's. What an entrepreneurial gym. So, as Lisa said, your folks that were part of the committee are right here. And I'd like to take a moment. We've got time, don't we, Lisa? So we have just a few minutes to consider. Actually, we did well. I thought I must have talked really fast. So I'm really pleased that we did have time, because I'd like to take a few minutes to think about some of the things that you heard and you were proud of. I didn't think I'd have time, but this is wonderful. So think together, just what are some of the things that you heard that made you proud again of your community? Okay. Oh, good customer service. Yes. What else? Yes. And if you ever wonder about the impact of art, I've got a story for you in North Topeka. Yes. I think somebody started to say something. Yes. Wow. Okay, that was not, yes. You know, we aren't very good, thanks. We aren't very good at telling that story. And, you know, I get tired of saying the same things over and over, but Coca-Cola doesn't, right? And so we know what their story is. Yes?
I think it was a good thing that they realized there is pride in the community.
Yes. That evident pride is a really important thing. And it gets repeated in lots of ways, schools, churches. What else? Yes.
The downtown looks good.
Yes.
And really, I think we've been working on that for a while, and it's nice to see that people recognize that.
Yes. She says downtown looks good and we're working on it. It's nice that people notice. Yes.
The schools, particularly in recent years, the high school got a big, they fixed up the music department and areas like that.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really hard for you as a local is you know your faults. Like I know my faults, and I'm usually happy to tell them about. But we forget to notice that we're doing some really good things. So the schools have gotten a really good facelift and a good music department. And the other thing that you're pointing out, when I go into small towns, they will tell me, our music department or our art department or our marching band is amazing. It's like, well, you're not telling us. We don't see it we don't see any evidence of that. Yes?
The park and zoo complex is well thought out and wonderfully maintained.
Yes, the park and zoo complex is well thought out and wonderfully maintained. And the second part is the hard part, right? Yeah. That's constant. Yes?
I'm glad that we're known for preserving our historic buildings instead of starting new.
I am glad you are too. Preserving historic buildings instead of starting new. That library is a whole, yeah, I love that. I loved it. I'm a Methodist, and so I noticed the Methodist church, but I thought it was really interesting how they had the historic part and the modern part, and it just really went nicely together, I thought. From my perspective, only my perspective, but I thought it was awesome. What else? Yes.
I've been retired 3 months now, and I'm doing some volunteering, and I'm amazed how many diverse members of the community volunteer their time.
And that's a good thing to encourage and to notice, and to volunteerism is strong here, and people participate in it. And that's, that communicates caring community, and that's what people want. They want the caring community. It's a good observation. Yes?
The Independence Historical Museum is now ADA compliant on all levels, from the basement.
Fantastic. That's not easy to attain. So Independence Museum is ADA compliant on all levels. That, there is some time in our life, even if we're not disabled now, or I've spent time on crutches, and lots of people will. And so it's important to include everybody. Yes?
I was pleased that they pointed out the healthcare options. Since we lost our hospital 2 years ago, it's nice that they see that we've rebounded in that area.
Yes, and that's easier for them to see what is. What is easy for you as a community to say is to think about what you lost. And that is something you can learn from your visitors. I've been in communities where they're still mourning the fact that they don't have a school there. And I get that that was a big loss, but their bitterness is not helping their community go forward. And so don't tell people what used to be. Think about what is now, which is really good, right?
Forsyth was probably very interested in that since they lost their hospital.
Yes, they're in the same place. It's nice to know. Yep, good observation, Barbara.
There's always something to do.
There's always something to do. Good grief, that you're going to have to get into 6-point type to get any more on that page. Always something to do. And the more we can make people aware of that, in Topeka, I hear people say there's nothing to do, and it's like, then you're not wanting to do anything because there's plenty to do. How about challenges? What things would you talk about that you would like to improve? What did you hear that you personally would be interested in seeing improved? Yes, that's a never-ending struggle. I mean, when I listen to Lisa talk about all the things they're doing to try to market, okay, but there's still more to do. There's still more to do. And saying that story over and over again, yes.
We need a hook. We need a hook to hook people into us.
You need a hook? Okay.
A title, a name.
Oh, okay. A slogan? A slogan, okay. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. And something that really represents you, because I've been in communities and it's like, what's that got to do with it? But yeah, that would be a fun engagement project for your young business professionals or for your high school or somebody to get engaged in. What else?
Making the signs more clear, like they said, you know, directing people to the benefits and the assets of the community.
Yeah.
You know.
Like the community, well, yeah. Signage to the assets of the community so they don't miss them. Somebody else had a comment.
I was going to say more information in town about the lakes in the surrounding area. There's a lot of really great hiking and camping, but you have to be somewhere near them to get any information on it.
Outdoors is a big pull for people. And if you have outdoors that they can participate in and figure out how to get to easily. My husband and I have noticed that we travel and then all we do is walk. And so we need to know where those trails are. And I'll bet you've got some good ones. Nationally ranked trails that maybe you don't advertise as well as you could. What else? Better storytellers. Ben Winchester says we are, as human beings, we relate to story. And so your point is well taken, that we need to be better storytellers. Not just the facts, ma'am, but show us the pictures and help us picture ourselves in your community.
Need to be more positive instead of negative.
Yeah, more.
Because sometimes that's all I hear is negative, and I'm so sick of it. I'm going, I don't want to hear that.
More positive instead of negative. You know, one group of rural people said, "This is you think of the good old days because your good old days was when you were young. You've got how many kids in those beautiful schools? This is their good old days, and make them aware how good this is." Let's go forward. Don't tell them what it used to be. They don't care. Let's go forward. Positive. Upward. Okay. Child care. Anybody that's tried to find it, it is a problem. And when only 35% of your need is met, it should be a problem for all of us, because yesterday I was teaching grant writing and the people with foster care said, even if we can get somebody to take a child into their home with foster care, they can't find child care so that they can go on to work. So it has an impact even beyond what we can imagine. So I'm going to know that you're going to continue this story and just tell you about a few resources. The Kansas Pride program is available to you. It's been going for 50 years. We do grant writing workshops. I've already been here to the ICC West, and you had 60 people participate in grant writing workshops. Today, after this, I'm going to go down to your chamber office and participate in our First Friday call. That's every first Friday. And today we're going to be talking about social media, telling your story. You'll be here, and so you'll probably miss that, but we record all of the calls. I love this resource. I've referred to it before. Have any of you ever heard of Small Biz Survival? These two ladies do a bunch of signs, but they have a sign up on their sheet. They send out weekly emails that are all about positivity, getting things done in rural, improving things, a new perspective. These are the same ladies. They do monthly live webinars where they talk about how do we move forward and become idea-friendly towns. And so you can sign up for webinars. There is a little bit of a price, but it's about $20. $25 will give you a subscription so that you can go back and watch them anytime. And once you've paid for it, you can have watch parties with whole groups of people. They just this week announced a idea-friendly creed that's at ideafriendly.com. Welcome to Independence, an idea-friendly town. And it's a creed about we don't care about who gets it done, but just that it gets done. There is a group in Atchison that's led by somebody that has expertise, and I think it's a model that can be started anywhere, where basically groups of merchants will get together, talk about storytelling, get together for coffee and just compare how are you using the various platforms and what can we learn from each other and how can we use them better, and how can we integrate our stories so that the story gets told over and over. It's called the Brown Bag Marketing Exchange, and you can do that too. We have a K-State initiative called the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative that will help with grocery stores are a hard business, and we have resources to offer to help finance and with technical assistance to develop new or renovate fresh food retail in underserved communities. And so I guess I didn't put that the recording for those First Friday calls, I think I put it in the beginning where Ben Winchester was, but his call is from last month, is videoed, and if you'd like to watch it, it's right there with no cost. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Lots of great information that we will continue to, we'll capture the information on here, and I know everybody was making notes and how those things affect you, maybe your own personal business, the places that you work, and the things that we can do to volunteer, or the things that we can talk to our city commission about, or our managers, city manager about, anything that we can do to kind of start checking things off that list. I appreciate all the time that everyone from Fort Scott put into the program, and I know that just like the Roger Brooks activity, it will not just get shelved. We went right to work on that. Money gets in the way sometimes, so we have to give ourselves a little grace and know that we can't fix all the problems because some of them are expensive and it takes a little bit of time to get that done. So we will continue to work hard, and we'll report back, Nancy, on all of our improvements. So thank you. Well, we have something that's very exciting to do before we do our 30-second shout-outs. As you may or may not know, we have a Pride Committee. It's actually a part of the Kansas Pride organization. And the Pride Committee has been in existence for quite a few years. They've been hard at work. They are responsible for the community cleanup partnership with the city. They have been working on that since 2013. This fall, it will be 7 years that we have worked to help organize all the volunteer efforts for our community cleanup and make that happen. Since 2015, they have played a significant role in the recycling that we have in our community, along with the city partnership. We do all the coordination of the volunteers and are working to make recycling an even bigger opportunity for our community. 4 years ago, we started Love Independence, so we're reaping the benefits of all types of kindness that we're extending in the community. And most recently, we completed Celebration Park, and that took us a little less than 2 years to beautify the corner of Penn and Chestnut. And we were sitting around at our meeting, and we were thinking, okay, so it's time for our next project. What are we going to do? And one of our committee members, Jerry Bright, where's Jerry? Yes, there you. I just looked right past you. Jerry, who had a bright idea. Haha, no pun intended. Okay, so he had the bright idea, and it truly was a bright idea. You know, we're trying to work on pride. We're trying to work on community beautification. We got dumpsters all over town that we're making available to people to clean up your properties. What can we do to recognize those people who are making significant improvements to their property? And we decided that that is exactly what our next project would be. And we asked Joanne Smith from Fab Creative Services to do some design work for us. We asked all of our committee members to go out and drive around town and in the neighborhoods and find some homes that will be the befores and the afters of all the amazing work that they have done on their homes to beautify them. Now, let me make sure that you understand the homes they can be rental property. It's property owners. If you're beautifying any property that you own in the community, go for it. And we want to recognize you for that. So we're going to be doing this every first Friday, recognizing significant improvements to property and independence. And our first honoree for the month of April and the very first two straight out of the chute are with us this morning. And we're going to give them some recognition, and what that will consist of is we're going to be putting this sign in their yard. There's going to be 5 signs going up next week, 2 for one property owner and 3 for another property owner. And at this time, we're going to give some recognition to Don Malugin Jr., and Don Malugin has some homes that are right at the end of the overpass. When you come into our community and you're coming in from the west and you want to see all that Independence has to offer, Garrett, can we flip the lights so we can get that? When you want to see everything that Independence has to offer, that first impression, as Nancy just talked about, is important. And so when you come off of the overpass, on the north side of the road, which would be if you're headed towards Brahms on the left, there are 2 homes right there. And you'll see that one of the homes previously was a color of green, and now it is an amazing shade of a dark blue. And then right next to it, I don't know if we have, there's the other picture, and that might be is that your home? Yes. And so we didn't have, Google Earth didn't give us a previous shot of that, but I think it what color was it?
That's a navy blue.
Uh-huh.
The other one's a dark night blue.
Right, and the previous color was like a pink maybe?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So anyway, we are so appreciative that Don invested in the properties. He painted them, fresh coats of paint, made a significant improvement to 2 pieces of property in Independence. So at this time, Don, we're going to recognize you, but we're going to give you your plaques together in just a minute right up here. So Don, do you want to come on forward here? And this is Don Malugin Jr. He's the owners of these. So congratulations and thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you'll stay right here with me, then our next amazing property owner is Bob Miller. Bob Miller, do you want to come on up? So Bob Miller, let's see, Don did 2 homes and Bob did 3 homes. So there's, there's number 1, the befores and after, amazing. Number 2, the before and after, again, absolutely beautiful. And number 3, there we go. 3 homes that he took care of on 6th Street. Is that right, Bob? Yes. And so Bob's homes are nestled kind of in a neighborhood. And so it was really nice because we got to showcase neighborhood improvements and the significant improvements that he made, along with improvements to homes that are right out on the main streets that people see when they come into their community. So at this time, I want to thank Bob Miller too. So if you would give Bob Miller and Don Malugin a round of applause. We're going to present them with their plaques, and then we're going to be out next week sticking signs in their yard. So like I said, we have a long list of houses, but we're always looking for more. So if you want to improve your property, take a picture of it before, take a picture of it after, and let us know. Or if you see something happening in other neighborhoods in the community, and you see them at work, go get a quick picture of the before and then turn it in after. And we're going to continue to recognize those people who are making a difference in our community by beautifying their property, and we are very, very appreciative of that. It is time for 30-second or less shout-outs, and I've got everybody in order. So you know who you are, so let's start right here. Tamisha, you're first. And come on up, everybody, get in line. So we've got Nick and Jerry and Leslie and Aaron and Sierra. Come on up. And anybody else that wants to do a 30-second splash can follow Sierra Allison. All right, Tamisha.
Okay, I guess I'm first today. I'm with Eclectics Art Gallery here in Independence at 311 North Penn, and we just wanted to let you know that we have a few classes coming up. Well, one of them's full, unfortunately, but on the 14th, we have watercolor with Louise Woodard. But then on the 15th, we have our brand new workshop starting that we're very excited about. It's a clay workshop with our newest artist, Jim Reed, and you'll learn how to throw on a wheel and hand build and fire and glaze your own piece. So that's really exciting, and that starts on the 15th. So if you want to get in before it's full, we suggest you get down to the gallery as soon as possible. And then also, it was actually kind of funny that childcare came up today. I am also the owner of the Treehouse of Early Learning here in Independence, and we are looking to expand. So if you happen to know anyone who has a building with outdoor space or is planning to sell a building with outdoor space, you can contact me, info, just info at indietreehouse.com, or I'm sure Lisa knows how to get a hold of me too. And let me know if you have anything, because we would love to expand and help improve quality childcare here in Independence. So thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Come on over here. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Elder with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas. I wanted to take a minute to just invite everybody out. April 24th is our 13th annual National Walk at Lunch Day. Walking is one of the simplest, safest, and most effective ways to be more physically active. So we want to help everyone get there. So basically, we're having a walk at the park. It's going to be at the Riverside Park Oval at noon. If you are a business and cannot come out and participate, we do have a toolkit on our website that's available. You can download and have your own walk at your own business with your own employees. We want everyone to just be involved. So the first 100 participants that come out to our walk will get a free T-shirt as well. So there's an incentive there as well. So we hope everybody can come out and join us at noon on the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you don't have your CPR card, I got a deal for you. On Love Independence Day, 10 a.m., Temporary City Hall, the fire department will be giving CPR class. It's $50 fee for people that live outside the city and $40 fee for folks that live inside the city. For more details, check out the city Facebook page or the city website. And then the police department and RSVP with 4 County, Kathy Shepard, we will be doing a drug take-back day at Temporary City Hall as you pull into the Circle Drive under the awning thing. We'll be doing that from 10 a.m. to noon. And just keep in mind, we cannot accept hydrogen peroxide, thermometers, needles, sharps, medications from businesses or clinics, inhalers, aerosol cans, ointments, lotions, or liquids. So if you got some unwanted drugs you need to get rid of, bring them to us. We'll make sure they get disposed of properly and not into the environment or into the wrong hands.
Thank you.
I'm Leslie Fox, and the Independence Tree Board would like to invite everyone out to Arbor Day 2019. We're having face painting and educational activities provided by a variety of different organizations in town, and we're giving away 200 free trees to the public. It's going to be at Logan Fountain at Riverside Park, April 26th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you, and please come out.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Erin Bunn. I'm just here to tell you about Cherish Our Children. Our chairs are over there for you to look at. It will be tomorrow morning right here in this very room from 9 to 11. come get some free pancakes and bid on one of those chairs. The theme of our chairs this year is nostalgic independence, so all the chairs are tied to things that make us feel nostalgic about independence. So all money raised goes to support services of the Healthy Families Program and other KCSL programs here in Independence.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Laura Samford, and I'm with Class LTD. We are having a painting party, and it's on April the 18th. Part of the proceeds will go to pay for a handicap swing at Kittyland here in Independence. And if you would like to be involved, if you want to come to a painting party, please let me know. I've got flyers as well if you want to hang some up in your businesses. So come have some fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I mentioned that Sierra Allison was going to come up here, and she probably had to go to work. She is a young professional that grew up in Independence, moved away, went to college, came back, and she's the new store manager of Sherwin-Williams. And Sherwin-Williams is a big partner in Community Mission for Improved Housing. And Community Missions, I believe, is going to, as we said, I think earlier, we're going to be going from 4 houses until up to 6 on Love Independence Day. So we appreciate Woods Lumber, Sherwin-Williams, everybody who contributes and helps to make that possible by providing supplies for that day. And then yes, I know. And Atmos Energy, we appreciate them, and we look forward to seeing you guys all out embracing your house and painting. I remember the first time, I think we have pictures, Dave, of you and your crew at the very, very beginning 4 years ago when you took on that first house. And it's just fun to see you continue to stay involved in that. And I think we've got Textron involved, we've got Standard Motor involved, and Westar, and just lots of big contributors to the community. So we're excited about that. Let's see. Anybody else have a shout out? Well, I appreciate our business sponsor, Atmos Energy, and all that you do to support the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Independence. We appreciate your sponsorship this morning, and we appreciate Nancy Daniels coming down and spending not only her hour with us presenting First Impressions, but she spent hours preparing all of that information for both communities, for both Fort Scott and Independence. And as I promised you, we would not shelf the information. We'll take it and we'll go to work because that's how we roll in Independence. So thank you for coming, and have an amazing Easter, and we will see you next month. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.